Hey guys, this is Reki and welcome back to another Project Zomboid Short Tuts. In this short tutorial, I wanted to have a look at the user interface because the Project Zomboid developers did a really good job of crafting the interface so as to give players as much flexibility and as many options as possible. And that's a tricky thing to do. And what it allows is for players to pick their own play style and have a bit more flexibility in how they manage their inventory or their weapons or their fighting abilities, their crafting, that sort of thing. And it also allows you to respond to things situationally. If your hands are full, you can handle things one way. If your hands are empty, you can handle them another. That makes the play experience a much smoother experience. So let's get right to it. So down the left hand side here you have what I like to call the taskbar, I guess you could say. Across the bottom you have what I call the hotbar. Your mini map sits over on the right if you have it open, and we'll discuss opening and closing it in a minute. You have some statistics up here that vary depending on the equipment you're wearing and the state of your character. These little round icons are basically buffs and debuffs, and they will stack down the right here when you have them. And then you have an inventory panel, and this inventory panel is set to open and close in several ways. So we'll get to discussing that in a minute. Let's start at the top here. These first two bubbles are your hands. The larger bubble is your primary hand, and the smaller bubble is your secondary hand. So if I equip this mop, it's considered a one-handed weapon or a one-handed item, so it goes automatically into my primary hand. For specific weapons and specific tools, when you try to equip something, it will often give you the option when you right-click it to equip it in your primary hand or your secondary hand. And if I equip something specifically in my secondary hand, it goes into the smaller bubble. I can equip the mop in one hand and the knife in the other, and now both of my hands are full. To remove stuff from my hands, I can right-click them and choose unequip. And if I want to equip something like the baseball bat, I can equip it in one hand or the other, or I can equip it in both, which is my preferred method of fighting. I use a two-handed method with the baseball bat. It does some pretty good damage. One of the things you can do, and I'm going to reset my baseball bat a bit here so you can see it, is you can set your items up to be on the hotbar down here at the bottom. And what that does is it hotkeys the things that you use that are your favorite things. And the number of slots you get down here depend on what you're wearing. At the moment, I'm wearing this belt. It's an accessory and it gives me 2 extra slots. If I were to remove this belt by dropping it on the ground, you're going to see that I default to only having 1 slot. So when you start the game and you come in with no equipment, you're going to have 1 slot, which I recommend you use for your weapon. In order to use it for your weapon, first you need to know what slot it is, and you can see when I hover over it, it says back, and there's a number 1 on it. That means that when I have something in this slot and I press the number 1, it's going to allow me to retrieve and put away that item by hitting the number 1 key. So let's put the baseball bat back in my hands. If I grab this off the floor, it's going to show back up in my inventory. In order to put this on my back, what I want to do is right-click it and choose Attach, and you'll see the only option I have is to attach it to my back. I attach it to my back, it now shows up in the hotkey. If I want to put it in my hands, I hit 1. Now it's in both of my hands, and as you can see, Gilda is holding it. It's a bit bloody. If I want to put it away, I hit 1, I put it away, and now if I turn her around, you'll see it's attached to her back. When I take it out, it's no longer attached to her back. If I pick this belt back up and I put this belt back on, which I do by right-clicking it and choosing where, it gives me 2 extra slots, and you'll see it's kind of difficult. There we go. Belt left and belt right. And now I can attach things to my belt, which is where I typically attach my hunting knife. I usually attach a hunting knife to my left belt and a pair of scissors to my right belt, because scissors are one of the most useful items in the game. Then once I have them attached, and as you can see, I attached it directly out of my backpack, they show up in main inventory. So be careful what you attach, because anything in main inventory is going to affect your weight, which is something we'll discuss in a minute. Another thing you can do with items to make sure you don't actually drop them accidentally when you're unloading or loading gear is favorite them. And as you can see, this hunting knife has a little star next to it. That's because it's favorited. Items that don't have a star next to it are not favorited. If I go here and I select favorite, now the baseball bat is favorited. If I move the baseball bat into my inventory or my backpack, you can see it came off my back and out of my hotbar. And that's a design feature, so you can switch between things quickly without unfavoriting them. And as you can see, the baseball bat is no longer on her back, although she has a hunting knife on one side and a pair of scissors on the other. Let me get this baseball bat back. To get it out of my backpack, I'm choosing unpack. Then once it's in my backpack, it's still favorited. So if I tell my character to drop it, it's going to be red. See how it's red like that? Basically what favoriting does is it prevents you from accidentally dropping something when you bulk move gear around. So it's very convenient. I'm going to favorite these scissors so I don't accidentally drop them. And I'm going to use attach back to reattach my baseball bat to my back. So I hope you guys have a good day, and I look forward to talking to you again sometime. Take care.